Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it.
We are diving into a career that is truly the embodiment of that phrase, the voice you know, the face you recognize. We are talking about Fred Melamed.
Fred Melamed,
Yeah.
an incredible career.
This is really a story of professional patience, and then that sudden, almost explosive recognition that happens when a lifetime of craft finally meets the perfect role.
Exactly. Our mission today isn't just like listing credits. It's about tracing this fascinating, almost dual trajectory of Fred Melamed.
The character actor and the voice artist.
Precisely. And it's a career defined by these two really distinct phases. Almost contradictory, actually.
How so?
Well, first you've got this nearly 30-year stretch where he's one of Hollywood's most invisible, yet totally indispensable voices.
Right, the pure sound of prestige. You heard him everywhere.
Everywhere. And then phase two, this dramatic late career shift into becoming this critically acclaimed, highly visible screen presence.
It really is the ultimate slow burn success story, isn't it?
It totally is.
For decades, like you said, he's the sound of everything important. The Olympics, Mercedes-Benz, but his face, secondary.
Almost unknown to the wider public.
Then boom, the Coen brothers put his face on the map with A Serious Man, and suddenly he's irreplaceable.
Yeah, Sy Ableman. Unforgettable.
It's no wonder Vulture called him one of the 32 greatest character actors working today.
Definitely earned that title. So this deep dive is really your shortcut to understanding that surprising versatility, that depth.
Okay, so to get that understanding, we need to start at the beginning, right? The foundations.
Exactly. Got to look at the foundations. He was born May 13, 1956 in New York City. And Melamed's path started with some serious theatrical credentials.
Yeah, I saw that. A BA from Hampshire College.
And then an MFA from Yale.
Yeah.
The Yale School of Drama.
Which is, top tier.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
he's been active professionally since 1981. So that's, over 4 decades in the business.
Wow, that really underscores the persistence you mentioned earlier, the slow burn.
Decades of work building up.
Okay, so digging into the sources on his early life, something that immediately jumps out is the complex nature of his beginning, his parentage, the adoption.
Yeah, it's quite layered.
It almost hints at a performer who is kind of destined to inhabit dual roles or identities from the start.
It's an extraordinary start, really. He was the product of a brief love affair,
Okay.
which meant he inherited this highly specific biological lineage. His mother was Nancy Zala, an actress and director.
Oh, okay, performance background there.
Right. And his father was Stan Silverstone, a British psychoanalyst.
Psychoanalyst, interesting mix.
And here's the kicker, for anyone who knows their theater history. His biological father, Silverstone, was actually related to the famous Adler acting family.
No kidding. Luther and Stella Adler, that Adler family.
An exact lineage.
Love
Stella
it.
Adler, the legendary acting teacher.
Wow. So you've got the method acting pedigree and psychoanalysis, the literal study of human motivation in his DNA.
Pretty much, yeah. Whether he knew it or not at the time, it's like this thematic inheritance before he was even adopted.
That's fascinating.
It really sets the stage. Then he was adopted by Louis Melamed, who is a Manhattan television producer.
Okay, so staying within the industry, sort of.
Definitely. And Seema Melamed, his adoptive mother, was a sometime actress and housewife. But the key here is Louis Melamed.
The TV producer.
Right. He wasn't just any producer. He worked with the legendary comedy writer and creator Nat Hinken.
Nat Hinken. Car 54, Where Are You? The Phil Silver Show.
Exactly. Foundational sitcoms. Louis Melamed worked on those.
Okay, that's a really crucial context point. Nat Hinken's work was basically the blueprint for character-driven, structured TV comedy.
Absolutely. The architecture of it.
So being raised by someone who understood that architecture, Fred Melamed must have had this insider's view of how television and performance worked structurally right from the get-go.
You have to assume so, right?
Yeah.
That must have been invaluable later on.
Oh, completely.
He was raised with this immediate, almost sophisticated understanding of pacing, timing, character construction.
Yeah.
Stuff few performers get that early.
And his education reflected that high-achieving environment too, didn't it?
It did. He went to Hunter College Elementary School first.
Which is specifically for gifted kids, I believe.
That's right. And then later, the Riverdale Country School. So, a very strong academic start.
But then things changed. The stability hit a bump.
Yeah, when he was 16, the sources mentioned serious financial difficulties.
Oh, wow.
And family was forced to relocate. They moved from that New York, high-achieving world down to Hollywood, Florida.
Whoa. That's a massive shift, geographically, culturally. especially during those teenage years.
Huge shift. And while that move is important context, what's maybe even more illuminating is this unusual insight he shared about his religious upbringing.
Or the lack of it, right?
Exactly, the lack thereof. He was raised in a secular, non-believing Jewish family.
Okay.
He actually recalled in interviews that his family found most of the formalized parts of Judaism either incomprehensible or just kind of off-putting.
So they like the family holidays, the nostalgia, maybe.
Right, the cultural aspect, perhaps.
Hmm.
But there was no forced adherence. They never went to synagogue, except for one cousin's bar mitzvah.
And he chose not to go to Hebrew school himself.
He did. And he emphasized it wasn't like rebellion. It was just genuinely a non-dogmatic household. No pressure either way.
Okay, and here's the really interesting part I found. He credits that environment,
Yeah.
that lack of forced dogma to overcome, as he put it, with actually helping him develop a belief in God later in life.
Isn't that fascinating? He suggested because he didn't have to push back against rigid rules or doctrines.
Right.
His own search for faith, when it eventually happened, felt more genuine, unburdened.
That's a really wild idea, that the absence of religious pressure actually created a pathway to spiritual belief later on.
It flips the usual narrative, doesn't it?
Totally. And how does that mindset, appreciating critical distance, flexibility over rigid rules, how might that translate to his acting?
Well, think about it.
It seems like the perfect foundation for someone who needs to inhabit all these radically specific, sometimes contradictory characters. He's free from the pressure of always playing himself, maybe.
It allows for tremendous analytic distance, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He can observe and construct a character without being bound by a pre-existing personal dogma.
Makes sense. But before Florida, before that move, he was already cementing his craft, right? Serious theatrical training.
Oh, yeah. At Hampshire College, he trained with some really towering figures. Tina Packer.
Shakespearean master, founder of Shakespeare and Company.
Exactly. John Guare, the playwright.
Brilliant experimental stuff.
And members of the Living Theater, too.
Wow. So that's exposure to classical rigor and radical experimentation right off the bat.
That combination seems almost tailor-made for the kinds of directors he'd work with later, like the Coens or Woody Allen.
Yeah, directors who blend high comedy with classical structure or even tragedy.
And then he leveled up again, going to the Yale School of Drama.
Which is notoriously competitive. Getting in is huge.
Absolutely. And he was recognized there, too. He was a Samuel F.B. Morse College Graduate Fellow.
Okay.
And nominated for the Irene Ryan Award. That's a major national recognition for promising young actors.
So clearly marked for success early on in the legitimate theater world.
Definitely. And upon graduating, he was immediately working. Serious theater scene stuff. The Guthrie Theater.
Minneapolis.
Yale Rep, the Kennedy Center in D.C.
And then Broadway, the big one.
Right. His major debut came in 1981, the huge hit, Tony Award-winning production of Amadeus.
Peter Shaffer's play. Massive.
Massive. He played multiple roles in that across this run, which went until 1983. That was the launchpad. A real testament to his classical training.
Okay, so Amadeus ends in 83. A professional high, no doubt. But then a huge pivot point.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting, like you said.
Because the stage work seems to, well, it vanishes for a long time, and the voice takes over. What happened? What was the catalyst for that shift?
Melamed himself has talked about this. He described the period after Amadeus as a period of personal darkness. Some kind of professional or emotional reckoning, it sounds like. And it led him to basically stop doing stage acting altogether for a very, very long time.
Wow. But that crisis coincided with something else, right?
Right. Pragmatism kicked in. He discovered the voiceover industry. Apparently, his agent helped guide him there.
And that connection back to his father, Louis Melamed, the TV producer.
Exactly. That insider knowledge of advertising, production, how that world worked.
Yeah.
It must have given him a leg up.
So he trades the visible, maybe demanding stage work for the stability and, crucially, the anonymity of the recording booth.
That's the key. Anonymity.
And when we say voice acting, we're not just talking about, like, local car dealership ads.
Yeah.
He became the institutional voice of American prestige.
Ubiquitous is the word. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
For decades, if a network or a major brand needed to convey absolute authority, gravitas, high-stakes drama,
They called him.
they called Fred Melamed. He became the instantly recognizable sound of the Olympics.
Okay, huge.
The smooth, authoritative cadence of Mercedes-Benz ads.
Right, I can hear that now.
The hard sell of CBS Sports. The urgency of the USA Network promos. The massive scale of the Super Bowl broadcasts.
He was the sound of televised importance. His voice wasn't just heard. You trusted it implicitly.
Exactly. Trust, authority, control.
If we tried to pin down his vocal quality, what made it so effective for that high-stakes branding? It's deep, but not like gravelly movie trailer deep.
No, it's more measured, intelligent. It implies this immense controlled power.
Yeah, control is a good word.
It's the modulation, I think.
Yeah.
And the precision. Melamed's voice has this precise, almost intellectual cadence. It sounds educated, a little bit theatrical, maybe from the Yale training, but never oversold.
Right, not hammy.
Never. It just signals sophistication. The sophistication of the product or the event. And that voiceover world, clarity and conveying immediate emotional tone are everything.
And that training, the classical stage work combined with the media exposure from his upbringing, it paid off massively.
Hugely. But here's where we get to the really deep cut. The thing that proves his technical mastery beyond just reading ad copy beautifully.
Yeah.
The sources note he was known within the industry for dubbing. Get this. Entire performances of other actors in films.
Wait, not just ADR, not just leaping a line here or there if the sound was bad.
No. We're talking full vocal replacement.
Yeah.
If an actor, for whatever reason, maybe they got sick, maybe their accent wasn't right, maybe the location sound was a total disaster,
Okay.
Melamed would step into the booth. And he didn't just have to sound convincing. He had perfectly match the lip movements, the sync,
Oh my God.
the emotional intensity, even the breathing patterns of the actor on screen, whose face wasn't his.
That requires an almost schizophrenic level of control. You have to completely separate your own identity from the voice you're producing while perfectly mimicking someone else's physical rhythm.
It's the ultimate hidden performance. A ghost in the machine, truly.
It lines up perfectly with that theme we talked about earlier, hidden identities, dual roles.
It really does. And this anonymity, this hidden career, allowed him to maintain a parallel track, especially with his film work. And specifically, his prolific output in the Woody Allen universe.
Yeah, his run with Woody Allen is just astonishing when you look at the numbers.
It's incredible.
He's appeared in more Allen movies than any other actor besides Diane Keaton, Mia Farrow, and Woody Allen himself.
Think about that. That's more than Diane Weist, more than Tony Roberts, more than Wallace Shawn.
That's a profound testament to his reliability and Allen's clear appreciation for his specific presence, that urban, intellectual, slightly neurotic vibe.
The consistency is key. He started pretty early with Allen, 1986, Hannah and Her Sisters.
Right.
But look at the types of characters Allen repeatedly cast him as.
Usually professionals, right? Doctors, lawyers.
Exactly. The sophisticated friend, the smug professional, the educated urbanite who's often morally dubious or intellectually pompous.
He was in Radio Days in '87.
And wasn't he the ophthalmologist in Crimes and Misdemeanors?
Yes. The wealthy ophthalmologist who meets a rather morally compromising end. That was 1989.
Such a great role.
Then Shadows and Fog in '91, Husbands and Wives in '92, Hollywood Ending in 2002. He just kept showing up. And these roles, even though they were often supporting parts, they allowed him to start honing that specific on-screen persona, didn't they? That controlled, slightly antagonistic, intellectual.
Yeah, the seeds of Sy Ableman were maybe being sown there.
Which would obviously define his big breakthrough later. But even back in the 80s, his film work wasn't exclusively Woody Allen?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
His actual feature debut was in Marshall Brickman's comedy Lovesick. That was 1983.
Marshall Brickman, another Allen collaborator, interestingly.
Right. And then you see him taking on really diverse, high-profile 80s roles outside that circle. He was in Roland Joffe's big period epic The Mission in 1986.
Which is about as far from a Woody Allen comedy as you can get.
Dramatically different, yeah. And who could forget, or maybe some tried to forget, his role in Elaine May's notoriously expensive and controversial comedy Ishtar.
Oh, Ishtar, 1987. Wow.
He was in that. And The Pickup Artist with Robert Downey Jr. and Molly Ringwald, same year.
So he was definitely a constantly working actor, using that lucrative voice work, presumably.
You'd have to assume so.
To subsidize and support this film career that was slowly, steadily building towards finding that one defining character.
Right. So if that last section was about his defining voice, achieving this kind of anonymous reliability.
Yeah, the invisible career.
This next section is all about the moment his distinctive face and that carefully modulated persona suddenly became internationally known.
This is the breakthrough.
This is the breakthrough. It's the moment the character actor finds the perfect, iconic vehicle.
And that vehicle, that character, has to be Sy Ableman.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The unforgettable, unnervingly polite Sy Ableman in Joel and Ethan Coen's 2009 masterpiece, A Serious Man.
It's just a masterclass in passive-aggressive villainy. He's terrifyingly nice.
He really is. And the film itself was nominated for Best Picture, so it had huge visibility. Melamed's portrayal of Sy, the man who essentially destroys the protagonist, Larry Gopnik, with extreme composure and faux sensitivity.
Yeah.
It brought him widespread critical acclaim.
And what's so fascinating is how he uses that voice, that precise, trustworthy cadence he spent decades perfecting in voiceovers. He uses it to deliver these devastating lines with such sensitive, controlled calm. He basically weaponizes politeness.
Perfectly put. He weaponizes politeness. And the critical praise was, well, astronomical doesn't quite cover it.
Yeah, we're not talking about just, oh, he was good. We're talking comparisons to some of the all-time great modern movie villains.
You really need the quotes to get the scale of it. Film Confessional just went for it. They called Sy Ableman as great a contemporary movie villain as the Joker, Hans Landa, or Anton Chigurh.
Wow. Joker, Landa, Chigurh, those are iconic, terrifying figures.
Right. And they argued Melamed had contrived the year's most brilliant force of destruction, placing a character who basically just wears a windbreaker and speaks calmly next to, murderous psychopaths.
It shows the sheer psychological terror he managed to project.
Exactly. And Empire magazine agreed. They labeled Sy Ableman one of the best Coen Bros characters of all time.
Which, given the Coen's gallery of characters, is incredibly high praise.
It resonated so deeply because, I think, it captured this specific type of societal menace, the person who can absolutely ruin your life while claiming they're only doing it out of sincere concern.
Yeah. We've all maybe met a milder version of Sy Ableman.
Unfortunately, yes. And the recognition was tangible, too. Awards bodies noticed.
He shared the Independent Spirit Robert Altman Award, right? For the ensemble.
We did, honoring the whole cast. And critically, publications like New York Magazine listed his performance as among the best performances of the decade. Not just the year, the decade.
That's huge. And the biggest praise, arguably, came from the titans of American film criticism at the time.
Yeah, this was significant. A.O. Scott at the New York Times, Michael Phillips at the Chicago Tribune, and the late, great Roger Ebert.
All three
publicly stated that his performance was absolutely worthy of an Academy Award nomination.
Which he didn't get, unfortunately.
No, he didn't. But for those three critics to align on that, it was the moment the industry and serious film watchers collectively realized that the decades of invisible craft had produced this performer of absolutely singular ability. The secret was out.
And that visibility from A Serious Man, it must have directly led to this sustained period of high-profile work that followed.
Oh, absolutely. It opened doors, particularly reuniting him with major auteurs. He got back together with the Coen brothers pretty quickly in 2016 for Hail, Caesar.
Right, the big Hollywood ensemble piece.
Yeah, appearing alongside George Clooney, Tilda Swinton, Ralph Fiennes. I mean, that's the A-list.
And he became a real mainstay in the independent film scene too, didn't he? Where that unique ability to play highly specific, maybe slightly abrasive characters is really valued.
Exactly. These aren't just like generic supporting roles. They're complex character studies.
Like in Lake Bell's movie.
Yes. He starred as Sam in Lake Bell's 2013 Sundance hit, In a World, which, fittingly, is a film about voice actors.
Oh, perfect casting.
Right. It won the Waldo Salt Screenwriting Award at Sundance. It allowed him to kind of directly address his own career history right there on screen.
That's great. And then there are others, Lemon
in 2017.
Yeah.
And then he also did some interesting genre work that really utilized his gravitas. The brutal Western horror film Bone Tomahawk in 2015.
Oh, yeah, with Kurt Russell.
Intense movie.
Very intense. And S. Craig Zahler's other film, the really violent crime thriller Brawl in Cell Block 99 in 2017, alongside Vince Vaughn.
So these roles proved he could do more than just the smug intellectual type. He had range beyond Sy Ableman.
Definitely showed more grit, more darkness sometimes. And the success of this whole 2010s period also seemed to facilitate something really significant, maybe emotionally significant for him.
Which was?
A return to the stage.
After decades away, after that period of personal darkness that started after Amadeus back in the early 80s.
Exactly. This return in 2011 felt hugely symbolic. He came back to Broadway in a production called Relatively Speaking.
And get this. It was a collection of one-act plays, and he originated roles in pieces written by two people he already had close ties with. Ethan Coen
Of course.
wrote one called Talking Cure, and Elaine May wrote the other, George is Dead.
Elaine May. From Ishtar, it all comes full circle.
Right. It shows a performer returning to the craft of theater, but maybe on his own terms this time, working with friends and masters he respected.
That's wonderful. And he didn't stop there with theater, did he?
No, his acclaimed performance in 2012 as Vanya in Chekhov's Uncle Vanya.
A massive role.
Huge role. At Guildhall in the Hamptons, that really cemented his full return to theatrical seriousness. The New York Times reviewed it.
What'd they say?
They praised his excellent, multi-layered performance, and they specifically noted his ability to capture both the comic, awkward lover aspect of Vanya while simultaneously bringing out what they call Vanya's vast loneliness.
That combination, the funny, maybe awkward surface masking a deeper, tragic interior, that feels like the defining quality of his best screen roles too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sy Ableman is funny until he's terrifying. It's that blend he nails.
Okay, so building on that film breakthrough and the return to stage, Melamed then really cements his status, I'd say, as the go-to character actor for prestige television, late 2010s right through the 2020s.
Yeah, he becomes indispensable. If you're making quality TV, you want Fred Melamed in there somewhere.
He became the guy for those memorable, often antagonistic, or sometimes just comically exasperating roles across pretty much every major platform, streaming network.
And the versatility is just staggering.
Yeah.
You can switch seamlessly between like hyper-caffeinated comedy and really nuanced drama.
Let's talk comedy first. His roles there often seem to lean into that signature smug cadence, right?
Absolutely. He weaponizes it for laughs, too.
Yeah.
He was Bruce Ben Bacharach for 20 episodes of Maria Bamford's show Lady Dynamite on Netflix.
This was wonderfully weird.
Totally. He voiced the cartoon villain Gumball, the great name in Adventure Time.
Oh, I didn't know that was him.
Yep. And who can forget his perfectly pompous turns as DC Parlov, the fantasy author, on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Hilarious. The Skyfire cycle.
Exactly. Or the supremely self-satisfied Jay Cronkite Valley Forge on New Girl. These roles just show his mastery of that high-speed, often absurd comic timing.
But I think the perfect crystallization of his comedy persona, for me anyway, has got to be his recurring role on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes. As Larry David psychiatrist.
Dr. Arthur Thurgood, so smug, so hyper-composed.
The scenes between Larry David and Fred Melamed are just gold. Because Melamed, as Dr. Thurgood, never loses his composure, ever.
No matter what Larry throws at him.
He delivers these incredibly smug judgments with this clinical, almost infuriating calm. And that contrast, Melamed's measured voice against Larry's escalating frustration, that's fundamentally comedic gold.
And it directly leverages that vocal control, that precision he honed for decades doing voiceovers.
Absolutely. He's using the same tool, just for a different effect. Now, switching over to drama and prestige TV, his presence instantly signals something else. Institutional power, complexity.
Yeah, he often plays figures of authority, legal, corporate.
He was excellent as Judge Alan Cartman on The Good Wife. Kind of a tough guy jurist.
Right. And his guest role on Fargo was particularly acclaimed, wasn't it?
Yes. On the FX hit Fargo, he played Howard Zimmerman in the episode called The Law of Non-Contradiction.
Which feels very Coen-esque, just from the title.
Totally. It was a classic Coen-esque role, demanding that mix of the mundane and the deeply strange. It proves his ongoing connection to that whole aesthetic.
He popped up in The Morning Show, too.
Yep, as Neil Altman on The Morning Show. So, consistently in these high-profile, critically respected dramas.
And the 2020s have really ensured his continued relevance, putting him in huge pop culture franchises, but also keeping him in critically acclaimed indie films.
He balanced it perfectly. His entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2021 was a pretty big moment.
In WandaVision.
Right, in WandaVision. He played Todd Davis, who seems like Vision's normal boss initially, but then transforms into this highly stylized, almost creepy sitcom persona, Arthur Hart, in that bizarre black and white premiere episode.
Filmed before a live studio audience. Yeah, that was unsettling.
And casting Melamed, a veteran character actor known for that subtle menace into that hyper-controlled, surreal environment, it was kind of genius. It immediately set the unsettling tone for the whole series.
Definitely. But at the same time, he kept his indie credentials strong. He anchored 2 really successful festival films around then.
He did. He played Joel, this sort of sympathetic, maybe slightly awkward father figure, in Emma Seligman's fantastic debut film, Shiva Baby.
Which got huge acclaim in 2020.
Massive buzz.
Yeah.
And then the following year, 2021, he was Marty in Nicole Beckwith's critically praised pregnancy comedy Together, with Ed Helms and Patty Harrison.
Right. And those roles, they show his warmer side, don't they? Sincerity, warmth.
Right.
A real contrast to the antagonism of Sy Ableman or the smugness of Dr. Thurgood.
Totally. Shows the range is still expanding. And his career renaissance was kind of officially confirmed, you could say, in 2021 when Vulture and New York Magazine solidified his status.
That's when they named him one of the 32 greatest character actors working today.
Exactly. A huge validation.
And his recent work has kept up that high prestige level, leading to more awards recognition, too.
Yeah, his recurring role as Tom Pesoro in the dark HBO comedy Barry.
Great show.
Great show. That was 2022 to 2023. That was another highlight. And it led to his nomination for the Screen Actors Guild Awards in 2024 for the ensemble outstanding performance in a comedy series.
So this whole phase just demonstrates that the man who was once the anonymous voice is now an absolutely essential, celebrated part of almost any top-tier cast, whether it's comedy or drama. Okay, so to really get the full picture of Fred Melamed as an artist, we kind of have to look beyond just the performances, right?
Give it a layer.
We need to consider his output as a writer, as a creator, which brings us back, interestingly, to that theme of hidden lives and focused, brilliant output.
He's not just an actor waiting for the phone to ring. He's an active screenwriter. He's got 3 produced scremays listed.
What are they?
Girl of the Perfume River, A Jones for Gash, and The Ash Hat Project.
Okay. But his current writing project seems the most thematically resonant, maybe, the Map Thief Project.
Yes, let's definitely focus on this for a minute. It's incredibly rich, almost self-referential when you think about his career.
So he's developing a long-form television version of something called The Preservationists.
Right, which is a fictional drama, but it's inspired by a true case involving a college friend of his.
A college friend from Hampshire.
Exactly. The friend was Edward Forbes Smiley III, a cartographic expert, a dealer in antique maps. Someone Melamed knew back in college.
Okay, so a respected figure in that niche world.
Highly respected.
Yeah.
Until he was caught and eventually admitted to being, in his own words, the most brazen and prolific map thief of all time.
Wow. Stealing rare maps from libraries and institutions.
Precisely. Yale's library, Harvard's, the British Library, high-level stuff.
Okay, the thematic parallel here is just, it's undeniable and kind of essential to understanding Melamed's artistic perspective, maybe.
How so? Lay it out.
Well, you have Melamed, who spent decades inhabiting hidden roles, literally dubbing other actors' voices, voicing global brands anonymously.
The invisible man with the authoritative voice.
Right. And now he chooses to write a fictionalized drama about a brilliant hidden figure from his own past who also operated on the periphery, stealing identities or artifacts while maintaining this polite professional facade.
Yeah, the link is too compelling to ignore, isn't it? The man who provides a professional, respected voice masking a hidden technical virtuosity.
And the map expert who provides professional, respected knowledge masking a prolific criminal secret.
It suggests a deep, maybe personal fascination with that concept of the successful hidden double life, what goes on behind the facade.
Absolutely. Okay, shifting slightly to his personal life for context. We know he lived out in Montauk, New York for many years.
Right, the end of Long Island. Kind of artistic, maybe a bit isolated out there.
Yeah, before relocating to Los Angeles in 2013, which lines up pretty neatly with his big critical career upswing after A Serious Man.
Good point. The timing makes sense. And he moved with his then wife, Leslie Spieler, and their twin sons. They've been married since 1999.
So moving to LA probably helped stabilize things, consolidate his focus during that period of, professional acceleration.
Likely. And it's also really crucial to note the dedication that he and Leslie shared regarding their family life.
This relates to their sons, right?
Yes. Both of their twin sons were diagnosed with autism.
Okay.
And this diagnosis led both Fred and his wife Leslie to become heavily involved in advocacy for persons living with autism spectrum disorder and for their families.
So while his professional life is often focused on portraying these complex, sometimes morally ambiguous characters, his personal life has been grounded in this deep, very specific, very real-world advocacy. That's a powerful contrast, or maybe a balance, channeling energy into genuine purpose.
Shows another dimension, for sure. It's noted in the sources that his marriage to Leslie did end. They divorced in 2021. So as we kind of summarize his accolades, thinking about his whole career, we really need to balance the recognition he got for both phases.
Right, the visible and the invisible.
Exactly. He won that Independent Spirit Robert Altman Award for A Serious Man, celebrating his face, his screen presence as part of that ensemble.
Yep.
But equally important, maybe, is the Lifetime Achievement Award he received back at the Voice Awards in 2014.
Ah, celebrating the anonymous sound.
Precisely. It proves that eventually the industry recognized the full scope of his mastery, the visible and the invisible parts of his craft. Hashtag Chagas outro. So what does this all mean? When you put it all together, Fred Melamed's career is, yes, it's a masterclass in the slow, sustained build. We've established that.
Definitely the long game.
But maybe more profoundly, it's a study in professional duality. It really is.
How do you mean?
He spent decades mastering technical, anonymous control, being this voice artist where his face was completely secondary. He achieved success by perfecting a sound that conveyed trust, authority, but always just out of sight.
The voice he knew.
But didn't necessarily place. Then he transformed into this consummate character actor where his specific nuance, his instantly recognizable features are paramount. They're the whole point.
The face you recognize, yeah. He went from being the guy who could secretly dub anyone's voice to the guy who is absolutely essential as this specific guy. Whether it's the velvet-gloved menace of Sy Ableman or the smug psychiatrist Dr. Thurgood or those complex, powerful figures in prestige dramas.
His defining trait, maybe, is that journey, moving from the anonymity of the sound booth to the undeniable specificity of the screen.
And all while retaining that core vocal quality, that controlled, measured cadence. It's still there.
It's his signature, linking both halves of his career.
Yeah.
And this movement, this ability he has to inhabit the profoundly specific, it feels like it has deep roots in his biography, like we discussed.
Finding his way to critical thinking, even faith, through a path defined by non-dogma, by a kind of freedom from definition early on. Which brings us right back to that fascinating figure he's writing about now, the map thief, Edward Forbes Smiley III.
The man who lived a brilliant hidden identity.
So, given Melamed's own history, managing that double life of the anonymous voice and the emerging actor, and given his childhood defined by that secular, non-dogmatic environment, here's the final thought for you to chew on. Was that upbringing, that freedom from forced ideological molds, was that the very foundation that allowed him to develop the flexibility, the critical distance needed to so convincingly inhabit all these profoundly specific, often antagonistic personas later in life?
It's a compelling thought. Did the lack of dogma enable the actor?
It certainly gives you something deep to think about, doesn't it? Next time you hear that familiar, authoritative voice or see that unforgettable, composed face pop up on your screen,